Today, I want to tackle the issue of happiness and what happiness is and what happiness isn't. Now, I believe that happiness is better defined as peace, not joy, not excitement, not fulfillment, not purpose, satisfaction. Even though one at peace has all those things, I believe if you strive for peace, the byproduct will be happiness, will be joy, fulfillment, satisfaction, all those things we long for, purpose. Because happiness, true happiness, is something I believe cannot be temporary. It cannot be something fleeting. Therefore, it cannot be something that the external world bestows upon us. Because anything the external world bestows upon us is temporary, fleeting, changing, dying. Everything is dying. Everything within space and time is dying. You know, when you were born, you started to die. When everything was born, it started to die. So therefore, anything in this external world is temporary. The universe is change. It is all constantly changing. Therefore, I believe searching for happiness or peace, purpose, fulfillment, meaning, satisfaction, etc., in this external world is a lost cause. Because one day you may have it, and then the next day you may change, or the thing may change, and then you've lost it. And like I said, I don't think true happiness is something so fragile. I don't think it's something that comes and goes. I think it's something that, once obtained, is there to stay. Once truly obtained, it cannot leave you. And I think most people never obtain happiness. They never obtain true happiness. They get experiences of deep joy, deep pleasure, deep purpose, deep fulfillment, and they believe that to be happiness. And then that starts the never-ending cycle of external chasing for meaning outside of oneself, chasing for meaning in the outside world, in the external world. I think, however, people are first introduced to happiness, to the fleeting, temporary happiness, is how they go about chasing it for a long time. If they first obtain happiness through hard work, dedication, then that's what they'll go for. They'll be very hard workers and they'll be very dedicated to what they do. If they first obtain this temporary happiness through pleasure, then they're deep pleasure seekers. And that's all they know is pleasure. And that's all they strive for because it's all they've ever associated happiness with and satisfaction. But these things are so temporary. And how we humans work with goals and desires, the goalposts always move, and the baseline just keeps going up. So if you needed to reach this level of pleasure to get happiness, next time it's going to be there. And then it's just going to keep going up. That's why I believe, there's a lot of people who are obese nowadays and drug addicts and, fill in the blank with your pleasure seeking activity, because there's just so many nowadays. Phones, people are just trying to get above that baseline again as often as possible through pleasure, because it's the only way they've ever received happiness. In video games, people just live on the internet now because there's no discomfort. There's long-term discomfort, but the one who isn't wise seeks short-term comfort without realizing that short-term comfort welcomes long-term discomfort. And the wise man welcomes short-term discomfort and knowing it offers long-term satisfaction and long-term comfort, the things that really matter. The wise man has foresight. True happiness, like I said, is peace, I believe. Peace that whatever happens outside of you cannot touch you. It can touch your body, but it can't touch the thing you are. It can't touch the thing you really are. If you're if you die, let's say, or when you die, let's say, because you will, say your corpse, is that you? It's it's your body. It's what you traveled around in while during your time here. But I wouldn't say that's you. I think there's something inside of us that's us, and that thing gives us life. And that thing cannot be touched by the external world. Marcus Aurelius would say, things cannot touch the soul. Therefore, if it doesn't harm your character, it doesn't harm you. And that's where true peace is. True peace comes from the understanding that whatever happens will not disrupt your well-being, because it cannot touch you. And it's all a perception. Things are neither good nor bad. Thinking makes them so. And when you realize the amount of power your mind has and thinking has over your situation, you become at peace, and therefore you become happy. And I think a lot of people can be at peace, but not realize that that's what happiness is, because you have those moments of pleasure and those moments of joy and those moments of excitement, and they feel so much stronger than peace, that you think those are happiness. But that's just temporary emotions. Just like anger is really strong, it's just a temporary emotion. No one's always angry and no one's always excited. They're temporary things. But true happiness is like the middle way. It's peace. And you never get lifted up too high and you never get brought down too low. Your emotions, you still have emotions, you still get excited and you still get angry, but you don't act upon them in ways that will degrade you. You use them as insights into your soul and insights into what's going on in the moment to make an accurate decision. I believe a lot of people have obtained peace, but have lost their peace in believing that it wasn't happiness, believing that the excitement they felt that one time was what they want every second the rest of their life, which is just impossible. But a byproduct of peace can be that when you realize that peace is happiness. I believe once you realize peace is what happiness is, you get true everlasting fulfillment. And that's something that you can only obtain internally. I gotta check if this video is still going. Should be, but I don't have that much storage. Yeah, we're good. Sorry about that. But peace is all internal. Life is just an internal game. And then all this external stuff, all this earthly desires and worldly things lead us off the track of what truly matters, the internal state. You know, if you have a heavenly internal state, even in hell, you will smile. But if your internal state is hell, even in heaven, you won't be able to smile. It's truly the internal state that matters. And that's peace. Peace is happiness. The peace of mind that knowing whatever happens, it can't harm you and can't affect you. And knowing that you can never lose it. Once you truly obtain it, it's there to stay. And you can go retreat into it at any time. Marcus Aurelius reminds himself this in Meditations. He says, you always wished you could get away from it all, to the sea, to the mountains. But don't forget that you can get away from it all whenever. Just go inside. That's because Marcus Aurelius was a truly happy person. He understood that true happiness came from inside, and he was truly happy. Therefore, he only needed brief visits, and he told himself to keep it brief, because he understands that even though all that matters is internal, we are external beings. We are here, we do have bodies, and we were put here to help out other human beings, to help out one another. We're social creatures, and we are made for the common good. Marcus Aurelius understood that. He told himself to keep his visits brief, but to also, whenever he needs to, return to the peace and the happiness that he has found within himself, and then return to the external world that he has been called to serve. Because Marcus Aurelius never wanted to be emperor. Marcus Aurelius loved philosophy, and all he wanted to do was be a philosopher. But he was chosen to become emperor, and he couldn't deny it. But instead of kicking and screaming and fighting against his external situation, he accepted it and realized that, here or there, he could live a good life. He reminds himself that a good life can even be lived in a palace. He reminds himself this. Even though all the other emperors, not all, but most, were corrupt, Marcus reminds himself that he did not need to be. And philosophy is what gave him peace and gave him true, everlasting happiness. So do yourself a favor and start looking inside of yourself for happiness, not outside of yourself. Because everything outside of you is temporary. The only thing that is everlasting is within, is internal. Anything outside is not.